I cleaned out the bottom screen of these hives here, and these are the ones I did a video a week ago on, and I was cleaning them out. Today I cleaned them out, and there's still a lot of dead bees. So I'm not really sure about these, but I am happier about these here. Now I'm not going to promote Russian honeybees because I'm finding just the same trouble with mites as I did the Italians. They are no better. And I bought from Foley's Russian bees, and most of the queens died during shipping overnight. UPS, next day air. And I would not recommend buying any queens from Foley's. I always tell everybody in my videos, there's 26 queens in here. This was my second order. 6 of them never made it out of the cage because Jason Foley, he puts the workers in the box loose. They're not in the cage with the queen, and when they get hot during the summer, if you're ordering queens during the summer, they get hot, and then they block the screens, and there's no more air circulation through there, because that's what it says on here. Air vents do not block. So I can't recommend buying any queens from anybody because Jason Foley says that's what everybody's doing. So I recommend grafting your own queens. I thought last year that I was going to get into the Russian honeybee, but I found out they are just as much work as the Italians that I've had. So if you're going to do just as much work, you might as well raise your own bees. And you know you can't raise Russian honeybees because there's other bees in the area, and you can't make them 100% Russian. So, but what is a Russian honeybee? A Russian honeybee is a mix of European bees because European bees were brought over to Asia 150 years ago. So a Russian honeybee is basically a mutt. And what I found, I didn't like the way the Russian honeybees have small clusters, and they don't fill up the hive on top with honey like an Italian does. And last summer I noticed that while the Italians were bringing in pollen, the Russian honeybees weren't bringing in any. And then in the fall when I looked, they didn't have any pollen in their hives. So what happens in the spring, early spring, the Italians, they're building up, getting ready for the flowers and stuff in the spring, mostly the trees to start with, and the Russian honeybees, they don't have any pollen, so they can't build up. They have to rely on the trees because the trees in this area around March, the trees will blossom, and what happens a lot of times is we get ice storms, and that covers the trees. So if the trees are covered with ice and the bees can't get any pollen early spring, they have to rely on the pollen they got from last fall and summer. And if they don't have any in the hive, they're not going to build up like they should. So I cannot recommend buying Russian honeybees. See, the sun brings them out. There's not very many bees on this side because this side here got the sun. I don't know, I'm thinking about topping off these trees, but and if you follow my videos, I'm going to show you guys how to graft this year and raise your own queens instead of buying from other people. It's a whole lot easier. You don't lose as much money. I lost a lot of money buying Foley's Russian bees, and I can't recommend that to anybody. It's so much easier to graft your own queens. I was more successful doing that, but then I got too many bees, and then I didn't control the mites like I should have, and I thought, well, I'll just switch to Russian. Russian will be easier on mites. Well, I found out they're not. So if I gotta work to keep bees, I might as well work to keep my own bees and not buy queens from other people. So well, anyway, I think they've leveled off. Here it is, the end of January, and I've got another 2 months to go before they'll be out on the trees. And it looks like I'm going to have bees this year. So I'm going to show you guys how to graft, how to save your money and not buy any bees from anybody. If you have bees now, I'll show you how to graft from your best queens. See this right here? I'm sure this is an Italian because it's not stinging me. When a Russian honeybee gets on you, what do they want to do? They want to sting you. And it doesn't really hurt that much, it just kills the bee. So anyway, follow me this year and I'll show you how to graft from existing colonies that you have. And don't buy any Russian bees. This is a waste of money. It's all a bunch of hype. They're not any better than Italians. And if you have to work to keep Russians, there's no point having them. Okay? Thank you.